Hey everybody, how we doing today? So, time is money. But for me, time means fishing. Well, it does mean money too, but mainly it means I get to go fishing. And time is in short supply. Alright, I did a video a month or two back and showed you my All About the Bait warehouse. And did a tour of the version 3, showing you all my new systems and racks and all my merchandise and stuff. Everything on my All About the Bait store I have here as roommates. But also towards the end there I showed you my back patio. I didn't really explain what, but I did say that I wanted to kind of expand out there a bit. Well, on that regard, and specifically in regards to time, I've been working on the project starting this last year, but really kicking in this last month. Okay, now one of the challenges with the free time part of it is maintaining all of this. Okay, if you saw a few videos ago, I showed you where I was planning to go on a fishing trip, and then my ignition wouldn't work on my car. It was locked up, so I had to rip out the whole ignition, rip out the cylinder, find out the little broken tab on it, take that out, put it back together again, and boom, I still had it took a couple hours, but I still was able to go out fishing. Well, you multiply that by 10, and that's all the juggle is. I don't have just the car is a challenge. My 97 F650 BMW motorcycle, which is my daily driver, that's not foolproof. I'm constantly working on keeping that thing running. The 2 kayaks, my 7 outboard motors, my 5 rods and reels that I use on a daily basis, all the little equipment here and there, and then on top of that, this house itself. I mentioned on that video too, is that it's an old Keys house in a saltwater corrosion environment, and it's been flooded and not really totally repaired. So I'm constantly working on the house. And then the rat wars, I have the rat wars. Always fighting against those guys. And the snakes. But all those challenges take tons of time in regards to just trying to maintain those things, and it takes away from my fishing time. So I knew this was kind of an important factor. So this last year, and especially this month, I've been working on tools and equipment and building a shop on my patio out there. So this last year, well, prior to this year, I pretty much can put all my tools in a little dry box about this big. I had an electric screwdriver and a hammer. And that's my whole tooling in regards to keeping everything afloat, because I didn't want to add more stuff to all of this stuff. Okay, I'm always in the back set. What if I have to move? What if I need to go shut it down? Would I have to go halfway across the world on a snap of a finger? What am I going to do? So I'm always hesitant about adding stuff. Although I'm like a hoarder for garbage cans and a hoarder for ice chests. But you got to have some little spiffs there. But I wanted to improve that, because as much time as I was spending keeping all of these things working, a lot of that time would have been cut down dramatically if I had the right tools. Not to mention, I have, if the repair doesn't involve a piece of equipment or a part that I can get at either Home Depot or the Ace Hardware down the street from me, I have to wait 5 to 7 days to have it shipped in, and it just kills me. So that's why I have 7 outboard motors, so to keep one running. That's why I have basically 4 complete reels as spares that I could take apart and to keep my 4 other reels going, and so forth and so on. Motorcycle parts, car parts, I got some back supplies of those, just to try to cut down on time so I don't have as much downtime. Now, the tooling came into the fact that this last year I've been buying better, more modern tools, Milwaukee Tools electric chargeable tools, and getting the other hand tools. I've been really picking up my electrical supplies, because this house is an electrical challenge in itself, but all the tools for doing electrical work. And then this last month, I got one tool, which is my first video I'm going to show you, to this video, and then that kind of said, kick me into the, if I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. That's kind of my motto. So I figured, hey, time to get moving on it. So I've been really working on creating a shop in this back patio here and buying all the equipment that goes with the building a shop. And it's like me, I'm not buying new stuff, I'm just buying old stuff and fixing them and building a shop that way. So I've got a bunch of videos I've stacked up. I've been posting them to my Patreon for my Patreon supporters to watch, because I didn't know if it really fit the QS kayak fishing channel. But I'm doing all of this also so I could do some QS kayak fishing projects that are related to fishing and so forth. So I figured I'm going to go ahead and release them on this channel here really quickly, one after another, get them out of the way. So when I start doing the projects, it's not going to be like, where did you get all that stuff to be able to do all that? Okay, so you have the back history, and then the projects will be freestanding and going forward. Same with the repair stuff that I do. I can show you what I'm doing and not have to go into history of why do you got that drill press there and so forth. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do today. Start off a kickoff of a bunch of videos on me building my patio shop out there and all the equipment I've been getting. So check it out. So today I picked up this guy. It's a Hobart Handler 140. It's basically a MIG welder. I had been looking for one for quite a while, and I was just about to pull the trigger on one. Primarily I was looking for a 100/200 series MIG welder. Primarily what I wanted was something that I could use on standard 110, which is just standard house plug-in, or and also 220, which is something like your dryer in your house would be, or for a fitted out actual garage that could use more heavy-duty amperage. And I wanted a MIG welder that could do both, primarily because I was concerned about this old house, the old wiring. A lot of the outlets have been flooded out with salt water, and then just humidity and saltwater environment, and then just kind of takes havoc on anything electrical. So I was kind of hesitant about using the home standard 110 plugins, and knew that the 220 watt that I have just inside here would definitely work out, especially for the light duty welding that I'm looking to do. I didn't need the 220 for heavy duty. I just wanted the reliability, knowing that it was a good wiring in the house and I could just scale it down and still be able to do that light welding that I wanted to. Those go around $500 to $600 for the second tier versions, staying away from the Millers and the Lincolns and stuff like that. But I was looking at, there's Prime Weld, Eastwood, Yes Welder, some good reputable companies. They're kind of, some are Chinese based with housed in the US, but are pretty well known, and they're considered pretty good units. So those are the ones that I was initially looking for, and then I was going to go ahead and just buy a new one. So what I was looking at is $500 to $600 for the welder. Then to do actual MIG welding, you need to use the gas, so you got to get a tank. So that's going to run about $150 to $200 if you get a filled one. Then all the accessories, because I don't have anything. I don't have a mask, so those are $50 to $100. You need good leather gloves. You need all these accessories. So I was budgeting $900 to $1,000 to get a MIG welder. I've got some projects for fishing projects. Actually, one of the things I want to do is to build a we call it a reef anchor. It's basically like a treble hook made out of something similar to rebar arms. Instead of these sharp prongs, it's just that bend, but like kind of like a rebar. And what they're made to do is to dig into the corals on the reef. However, if you get stuck, you could pull on it and those prongs will straighten out and release the anchor, so you really can't get stuck. They do sell them out there, but they don't really make them for kayaks because we really don't have a lot of drag. So I don't need really heavy duty prongs, and I wanted something that I could just not put a ton of force onto it and be able to straighten out those prongs, pull the anchor out, get it back up, and then just bend them back into place, because I would use very thin diameter prongs on them. So that's one of the things that I was wanting to make. But I've got a few other projects I'll kind of show you that I'm looking to use this for. But then this came up on Craigslist. It was a Hobart Handler 140. This is kind of like a
in car terms, a Buick made in the 70s. Okay, it is. And this is probably a 15-year-old unit that has not changed in 10 to 15 years, and it is still sold as is, as it was 15 years ago. It runs around, I think, $650, $750 new. This was hardly used. The guy bought it thinking that he was going to get into welding, and tried it twice and said, nope, I'm not a welder, and just packed it all away, and then decided to dump it off. So I got it for $350, so half the price of a new unit. But then he was getting out of the whole welding game, so he got rid of a 40 cubic foot tank, still full with an argon mix. Has this bottle style gauge, flow gauge, plus it comes with a Miller set. I think came with the package there. Upgraded grounding clamp. It's got a mask. This is Yes Welder goggles with a mask conversion. They go for about 80 bucks. This has the true color lenses on it, so it's battery operated, fully adjustable, so you could adjust the sensitivity, the delay, so forth, and then you can get actual good visibility when you're welding. So pretty neat. I've actually tried it out and it works pretty good. It doesn't have the full wraparound coverage for safety, but I'm just going to do some light stuff, and I didn't want to spend 100 bucks for a different mask. It came with it, so super happy about that. Threw in these angle magnets, so they keep things at 90 degrees, holds the metal together so it's easy to weld. I also have the small set, so that's small, medium, and large. I'm using the small ones inside right now. Gave me all these vice grip clamps here, little slag hammer, which I've always wanted, so it came with that as well. Gave the gasless flux core wire, full spool there. It has the MIG wire already in there. Some nozzle gel. Came some really good gloves here. These are some Olsen D-packs. So basically everything you need to go to get started, all in one package, and I paid 350 bucks for it. So I said, hell yeah. So a third of what I was expecting to pay, and I got this. Like I said, it's in almost brand new condition. Like he said, he only used it twice, and that's about right, because I looked at the amount of wire on the spool, and it's hardly been used there. There was no dust, nothing. It's not been chewed up. All the lens, all the dials, everything are just, there's no marks on them at all. The tank was full, like I said, so I know he didn't use it there. Never used the flux core stuff, so it was just brand new condition. So I was like, man, he wanted $350 for it, and then I saw it and I was feeling bad. I was like, damn, I mean, just getting a little bit much. I gave him $360. I told him to keep the change. It was such a good deal. But the only deal with these things are, it's the older technology, which I wanted. You can see here it doesn't have the digital readouts, which I don't want. It's just very basic. It's got 5 settings for the amperage, for the basically how much power you want to send, and then 0 to 100 for the wire speed. That's it. There's no digital output on it. Very basic construction. It's got the old school that you have to change the cables depending if you're the type of welding that you're going to do, so you physically have to change those. That's real old school. And behind here it actually uses a good old style heavy transformer. So this is comes in at about 50 something pounds, 55 pounds, 57 pounds plus a wire. So this, as it sits, is 60 pounds. You get the new modern welders that don't use the old transformers, and they're half the weight, exactly half the weight. So probably 2/3 the size and half the weight. Digital gauges, all fine tunable, which is great. But like I said, this is a 1970s all steel, all metal Cadillac. It's all heavy duty stuff, made in America, serviced in America. You can call them up and get hold of somebody in America that can tell you what's going on it. And yes, excellent model. It's been out forever. Like I said, it still retails for $650, $750, which is the same unit from 15 years ago, so you know it's quality. So this matches up. It's basically Miller's sister company. They're under one company umbrella, so Miller and Hobart are basically together. So it's one of the top tier welders, although it's old school. But yeah, super happy with it. So I get to start playing with a new tool. So let me show you some other projects I've got. Another Key West kayak fishing project for the MIG welder is my cart. Usually, this one's actually lasted quite a long time, but that's because I think I don't use them very much and I don't run them into water that often anymore. But what happens is these, I think these are stainless steel, but the welds are not. And they start corroding, and then they eventually break there and then up here as well. You can see they're a little bit rusty already there, and then once they break, they twist, and then they're trash, and then you got to spend 150, 200 bucks for them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put little tabs here and basically reinforce these, so that even though the basic parts of it welds, I have extra reinforcement to prevent it from breaking. And if it does break, I can fix it. Then it comes to the car. I had put on a trailer hitch, but it's a bolt-on, so I can go in there and definitely hit those sections with some tacks there to strengthen it up, because I think it's just like 4 bolts holding this in, pulling a trailer. So it's not the safest as is pulling with this light car, but I have that little light trailers, but I'd prefer it to be a weld-in trailer hitch. I'm never going to remove it anyway, so I might as well get it in there and definitely set it in there. And this is the primary reason why I actually wanted a MIG, was to start repairing these rust out sections of my car. I'm actually thinking that I'm just going to fiberglass a lot of these areas, but over here is where I'm going to actually use the MIG welder. I've got this crack, and I think what happened is the same thing that happened here, is that the metal started rusting underneath the glass, and it started bulging it to the point that it cracked. It got a little crack there, and then it just kind of grew from there with the heat. So if I put another windshield in there, it's just going to crack again. So I need to pull the windshield out and then fix all these areas, and then just make sure it rust proof it basically, and then put a new windshield in. And then lastly, I have this mount for primarily what these are for is for towing the car, or place to tow the car, because pretty much the front end is all just plastic, so there's nothing to hold on to. You always see those videos where people yank and the whole front end comes off. That's why you need to have these. You screw them into a port right here, and then you're able to tow the vehicle. I'm not concerned about that. What I need it for, or what I use this for, you can see how much I've used it, wore it out, is I clip the front end of my kayak when it's on here, and I strap it to here. But the problem with it is that it pulls the front diagonally, or pulls it to the side. So what I want to do is to add a mount right here in the center, so that my strap will be straight up and down, and it'll keep that kayak centered, because right now I have one on this side and one on that side back, so it always pulls it kind of cockeyed. If I put this in the center, then I'll use a bracket off the trailer hitch, and then I'll have it mounted straight, and that'll be a lot better. I already broke one of the mounts from constantly twisting, but that's another project there. Something I could use on these outboards is that I've constantly breaking bolts in here, because a lot of times you're dealing with 2 different types of metal material. Then you add salt water that corrodes, and then you get this metal corrosion welds, so that I could use the welder to weld on bolts, or basically a bolt nut to it, and then be able to break those corroded broken off heads. And just like I said, everything metal rusts, so my hand truck is falling apart. I'm thinking about maybe converting this into a welding cart, have that 60-pound unit on the bottom, and then have the tank kind of mounted above it, and then that way I could wheel it out. This is my gorilla cart that I made to a fishing cart, but I primarily use it for this rig, which is my portable corded air blower here, yard blower, but I just use my generator to power it, and I can take it wherever, and then I've got a fairly long cord, and then I could just use that blower there. But I've either use something like that, or I might get another Gorilla cart and then build a flat base and then have the Hobart and the tank mounted to that with my accessories, and just make it a actual welding cart, because I've got rocky yard, and then getting out of these spots here makes it a hassle. So that's why I kind of need something a little bit more heavy duty than a normal welding cart. I need something that has actual big wheels that I could roll over stuff and pull and so forth. So I'm not quite sure yet, but I could use the MIG welder to adapt that cart there, the hand truck, to make it a style where I can just tilt it over and just wheel it where I need it and drop it back down and fire it up. Or go this version here with a metal base, no sidewalls, and then just some mounts to hold everything in there and just wheel it around. So just projects like that, this guy's going to come in handy. So in the end result, I was looking to spend $900 to $1,000. I'm into it $350, and I already started doing some welding, test welding, make sure everything's good, and it works great. The only money I need to add is I spent I think $10 for a tip to be used for the flex core. It's just kind of a plastic tip, prevents the splatter from building up on the inside tip there. So that's coming. And then I bought I just spent $60 on a 10 gauge 50-foot extension cord that I could run from the house and then run to this and then get outside there. Oh, that's the other thing that the last thing that I'm going to be doing, but one of the priority things that I'm going to be working on. Let me show you. And to finally finish this off, what I want to do is I'm going to put a cross member, something like this, that goes all the way across, but up front here. And then these things are kind of rusted out, so I would basically end it here, a cross member, and get rid of all this stuff up front there. It would just be the tongue. So that would solidify that, because the rest of it is good metal. Then I want to add better bracing underneath for the wood. Maybe to put solid metal braces across it, or better tabs where I can mount a new platform wood. And then lastly, I want to put little brackets around here so I could put wood posts and then sidewalls on it, so I could use it for what I primarily use this for, is just hauling just random stuff. I hardly ever use it for my kayak, which I bought it for, but just really don't need to. When I car top, it's a lot easier. But if I put those sod rails on it, then it could be more of a utility cart, because I do load stuff and take stuff to the dump and stuff like that, so that would be good. But that's another thing the welder will come in handy for. And of course, I've got the troll bike. I don't know how much longer this guy's gonna last. This top tube is pretty much gone. It's getting eaten from the inside out, but still runs. So I could brace that up with that welder and keep it alive. I need to get a new chain for it. That's a little bit floppy, that back gear there. But yeah, could fix that too. All right, so there you go. That's step one of building my patio shop out there. Some of these videos are going to just end abruptly. It's because I've been kind of doing them for my Patreon supporters, so they've got a kind of a Patreon introduction and a Patreon ending, and I'm just kind of cutting those off for these videos, but that's why they might just go and then end. But I'll have a series of these videos, and then I'll do a more ending video once I got it all wrapped up. Maybe a full walkthrough of the shop. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and watch more of these if you like those. Otherwise, I'll be right back to fishing as soon as these are finished. All right? Bye.